Hello everyone, it's Michelle here today and I'm going to share something I don't normally do. I'm making a Halloween card. I very rarely make Halloween cards, but today I am using the new Hero Studio kit for August, which is based around the legend of Sleepy Hollow. So the two characters in this kit are Abraham and Katrina. So I'm actually stamping Katrina today. And I started with all the details of the layering stamp set, and now I'm adding some colour. Now, I actually stamped that layer 6 times, believe it or not. And then this layer I'm stamping 5 times. And it's not because my ink pad is dry. It's because I wanted to get some really intense colour on her skin. And by the time I finish, she almost looks a little bit sunburnt. Almost. I wanted to keep using the Peony ink so she wouldn't look really, really sunburnt. But there's a reason for that. And we'll come to that a little bit later. Anyway, I actually tried this many, many times, and I found it easiest to stamp the detail layer first and then layer all the rest of the stamps over that detail layer. Now, before we move on to the next bit, I just wanted to show you that this kit that I'm using today is from the August Hero Studio, and it's all Halloween themed and magic theme and hocus pocus and all that kind of stuff that people love to use for Halloween cards. So that is available now. Let's move on with my card. So what I'm going to be doing is creating a photo frame or a picture frame around her, but this picture frame is going to be a bit unusual. I'm going to make it into a mirror. So in this kit is this sort of foil film stuff that is holographic, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is, you can see that I've cut out a frame for my mirror or picture. And I've also embossed the shape of that frame into a piece of acetate. I just did that so I'd know exactly how much I needed to use. You didn't really need to do that. Now, I'm removing the backing paper off that film. It is actually self-adhesive, and I'm just sticking that down to the piece of acetate. As I said, I didn't need to actually die cut that acetate. I'm just going to cut it down with scissors. And once I've done that, you can see I'm cutting down around the edges so that it will fit nicely behind that frame. Now, you might wonder at this point, what on earth is going on here? Are you creating a picture frame with a lady in it, or are you creating a mirror? Well, there's some magic that's going to happen here. So just you wait and see. I'm adding some Hero Arts Precision Glue just around the very inside edge of that gold frame. The gold frame is cut from some gold metallic cardstock from the Spellbinders Treasured pack. Now, here comes the magic. I have a battery and I have a one light from Pear Blossom Press. So we have the frame at the front, then we have the holographic film, the mirror film, then we have the acetate behind that, and I've put the lady behind that, and watch this, the light behind her, she shines through the mirror. It's a magic mirror. So it looks like the mirror is haunted. Isn't that the coolest thing? Oh, it's just so much fun. All right, so basically, I'm creating a haunted mirror by having her appear from behind the mirror just when you switch the light on. I think that's just so cool. Anyway, let's move on with the rest of this card. So, in order to get the light far enough behind her face so that she didn't look a bit weird and you can actually see some of the detail, I'm building up a heap of layers on this frame. So I cut the same frame from some black cardstock, and I'm just layering it up. And I actually tested this a few times, and I think I ended up with either 9 or 10 layers, because the frame's on top, the film's next, the acetate's next, and then the lady, she's immediately behind that. And then I'm putting all these frames behind, and then the light will be sitting basically on the background of the card. So there is actually a little bit of space between the back of the lady and the light. I found that if the light was actually touching the back of the cardstock where the lady is, you didn't really get a really good view of her. You only got a little bit of her face, not her whole face. So that's why I'm layering up all of these layers to allow a little bit of that space. And I am going to test this over and over and over again. You'll see me doing this in the video just to make sure I have it exactly where I want it so that she doesn't look really, really weird. And also because it was really fun to just test it. It looks cool every time you do it. So yeah, I kept on going, added a few more layers. But then I found that with the light so far behind, it was a bit hard to reach the switch. So I'll show you how I fixed that in just a tick. But now I've actually stuck her on top of all of the black frames and just behind my gold frame mirror little construction. But when I adhere that, it won't actually blend in with the black frames. So I will actually, you'll see me in just a tick, I will take out a black Copic marker, there you go, and I'm just running around the edge so it blends in with the rest of the black frames, because it would look a little bit weird if you had this sort of white layer in amongst all the black layers behind the gold frame. So yeah, it's just a finishing touch that makes it all blend in nicely. All right, so now I'm putting that frame on top. Now, as I said, it was a bit hard to actually reach the button now. I have to press quite hard on the foil. So I'm taking some of the black cardstock that I had as waste, and I'm just cutting little squares, rectangles, it doesn't really matter, just a little bit, and I'm going to layer them up behind the bottom right-hand corner, behind that mirror. So you'll see me flip this over. I'm just sort of laying it out, trying to figure out exactly where the switch is when the light is directly behind her head. And it's not right in the very bottom, so I left a teeny little bit of a gap. And I'm just layering up, I think I did 3. Yeah, I think I did 3 of those layers. And then when I push it out, turn it over again, it sort of lays relatively flat, but then I decided it's a little bit close, so I'm going to add one more frame, and then it will be perfect. So it probably would have worked if I'd only put 2 of those little squares, but I just added an extra frame, and I actually like that better because the light was just that little bit further away from her, and there's another frame there, adding one more. But one thing that I would do differently is I've actually stamped her on Neenah Solar White cardstock, and I use the 110 pound weight. You can see I've actually die cut a little bat to put in the bottom of that mirror so people know where to press. Anyway, if I was stamping her again, I'd use thinner cardstock, so the light would find it easier to shine through the thinner cardstock, and I think I would get a better look that way. So here I am using my Letterpress, and I am pressing the Lacy Filigree Letterpress plate from Hero Arts to create my background. Now I thought I wanted her to look like it was like a mirror, a haunted mirror, up on a wall, and I wanted it to look sort of Victorian or sort of 1800s look. And that Lacy Filigree looks so gorgeous. So I put it onto some Cranberry cardstock and ink blended in black all around the edges of it. I actually used charcoal ink to press on it. So it's sort of dark grey with black around the edges. So it looks really sort of dark and foreboding. but also very opulent at the same time. I really love that letterpress plate. All right, so right now I'm just making sure I've got her in exactly the right spot so that I can then adhere the light to the background of the card in exactly the right spot. And see, I didn't move it, and now I'm tracing around the edge of it because I want it to be exactly there. So once I've traced around the edge of it, I can remove it, and I'm going to put liquid glue so that it'll hold nice and firmly. I don't want that light budging anywhere, because if it moves, you won't have the light in the right spot and you won't have the switch in the right spot. So you need to make sure you get both of those in the spot that you want. And look at that. It's just so magical when it actually works. So now I can adhere all around the edge. Notice I'm not putting any glue on those little squares that I put underneath the switch, just around the frame. So I'm going to hold that down with my paperweight for just a little bit, and now I'm going to add my sentiment. Now, as I said, I made this card a couple of times, and this one I've actually used a different sentiment than the first time I made the card. So the photos that you'll see at the end of the video have a slightly different sentiment, and also the bat's in a slightly different position. I've angled it differently, but hey, it still works. But the rest of the card is all the same. Okay, and I'm going to adhere that there, and once that's done, that's my card completely done. So whoever gets this card is going to have a really interesting surprise when they see this lady popping out from behind. Now, on the first card, I actually stamped the masquerade mask on the lady, but in the second card, I decided not to add that, but other than that, they look pretty much the same. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this card making process, and I hope you enjoy making some Halloween cards this year. Bye.